Hello everybody, it's me again. So this one is the continuation. Continuation, is there such a word? Yeah, I think so. This one is the sequence to it is the part 2 basically. This is the part 2 for I decode human relationships with Greek mythology, Hinduism, and Jungian psychology. Okay, so this is the part 2. For part 1, we talked about how Brahma, Zeus, creator conscious and conscious mind and ego, all these kind of terms are actually interrelated or say interchangeable in a certain perspective if we see linking in the 3 areas of studies, which is Greek mythology, Hinduism, and Jungian psychology together. And then we would see, when we compare them side by side, they're actually talking about the same thing. That would be the 3 primordial forces, meaning God, God, which is essentially regeneration, right? Which is absolutely about sustainability in a way, the sustainable cycle. That is regeneration. And I'm like agreeing with myself. But again, please leave any comments below. Please feel free to leave any comments below if you have any kind of opinions and thoughts relating to such a topic, okay? Such a topic, like pointing this down in the title, all right? Your opinions are very well appreciated, okay? Thank you so much. Now, in this part 2, what are we going to talk about is that I did a little preview in the last video, the part 1, that is going to be about Athena and also Saraswati in Hinduism. All right, so, okay, it's going to get fun. It's actually really fun. Because when we look at Greek mythology, usually, when I was a kid, it's full of stories that are so dramatic. And then people would be like, why does Zeus always just, like such a playboy, just like messing around and then kind of like not being responsible at all for his own actions, But now that we can explain, is because Zeus, he basically represents the conscious mind from Jungian psychology, okay? The conscious mind. And in fact, Brahma in Hinduism is not very much being worshipped. Like in real life, in physical reality, people or say Hindus, they don't really worship Brahma. It is like, it's actually even written, if you check on Wikipedia, you would see that Brahma is actually not widely being worshipped as comparing to Vishnu and Shiva, okay? And now if we trace back to what I was saying, I was saying that it's because it's a conscious mind. Okay, then why would people over these many years they have not been worshipping Brahma as much as the other 2? It's because even in the stories in Hinduism, Brahma doesn't have a very good reputation. So that is one reason. And why, right? Why does he not have a good reputation? Then if we link into Jungian psychology, it's basically talking about the ego. The ego, okay? The conscious mind is the ego. We are the ego, right? We are actually the conscious mind. But it's only when we are not conscious. We are not conscious with our subconscious and our unconscious minds. Like we're not in tune with the subconscious and the unconscious, we would then become very unconscious with our conscious actions. Does it make sense? Like our ego. Our ego would not be carrying out mindful actions when we are not in tune, when we are not consciously in tune with our subconscious and unconscious minds. Because when we are in tune, okay, that forms a trinity that is actually, that would then link us, or say connect us naturally to our superconscious mind. And that would usually that would be called like supreme, the supreme reality, or just the divine or supreme. Okay, that is what these kind of terms are quite interchangeable, actually. And so that's kind of like a recap from part one. For part one. Now, when it comes to Athena shares a very strong similarity with Saraswati. Now we know that Brahma is the conscious mind, right? It's Zeus, literally, like basically they are kind of like equivalent to each other. Saraswati is the daughter of Brahma in Hinduism, and Athena is the daughter of Zeus. And in fact, they are both the favorite child, individually, okay, to each father. They are both the favorite child to their fathers. And funny enough, Saraswati and Athena, they both, now here's what I'm gonna read it from here, okay? Athena, born out of Zeus' forehead, okay? Athena, born out of Zeus' forehead, is his favorite child. And in Hindu scripture, Hinduism, for Hinduism, Saraswati is also born out of Brahma's forehead. Okay, so it is actually written like that. So now, however, this is actually not something like, oh my God, why? Like, how can it be so coincidental, right? It is not actually quite a coincidence in itself, because one of the viewers actually mentioned, like one of the viewers in our community, this channel, he mentioned that ancient Greece and Hinduism, basically, they actually shared the same lineage. Like they actually from the same lineage, okay? And in fact, there is quite there's a quite how should I say? It is quite true in a sense, because if we trace back to Eurasian histories, like far back, okay, not only, to be honest, not only in Greek mythology and Hinduism they share similarities like that. Even if we trace back to Mesopotamia, like ancient Babylon, okay, all these deities do share very similar storylines, and also personalities as all other ancient religions, or say just ancient cultures, okay. Even if we talk about ancient Egypt, it's kind of like we can find certain deities, because it is a branch, kind of like branching out of another one and another one. It started with, if we trace back to the very, very far back, that would be Mesopotamia, right? So yeah, like yeah. So there would be a lot of different gods and goddesses in Mesopotamia, as well as then to ancient Egypt, and then ancient Greece. But in between, there are actually many other deities and gods and goddesses emerged within different timelines, or say between different timelines or civilizations. So what I'm trying to say is that everything is interconnected. It is not just Greek mythology and Hinduism, but it's fun for us to explore and see the links in between all of them, and then we can kind of come to getting more insights from this kind of comparison, finding similarities, and through which we draw out what are they actually talking about? What is this actually symbolizing? Because all of this, they're not actually talking about a person. They're actually symbols. They are signs telling us something, like how our ancestors hide or hid, okay? Because sometimes I use tenses interchangeably, because to me, the past is kind of the present, and the present is the future. So it's like as if when I'm talking about this, I don't actually feel this as like the past. To me, it's very much like it's happening at the same time. Everything happening at the same time. Everything everywhere all at once. So please bear with me if my tenses are like changing here and there, all right? So yeah, as I was saying, the lineage, right, shared by Greek mythology and Hinduism. In fact, there is a very ancient tribe. They are called the Aryans, Aryan. So the Aryans, they are a nomadic tribe. They are very, warriors-like. They are very, well built and strong nomads. They in certain historical texts, it's been recorded that they start off from somewhere like from Turkey, okay, like nowadays modern day Turkey, and then it starts to spread, okay, into Greece, modern day Greece, so and then so that would be the Fertile Crescent, near the Fertile Crescent, and then to Greece, that area, so that would be Mediterranean Sea, and then even to Egypt, and then to the east, okay, eastern, that would be towards to India, okay, to India, and then to China. So it's like it spreads itself into different branches, okay, and we can even trace back to the Mongolians. Isn't Mongolians, right? Genghis, that tribe also has the same DNA, or say is branched off from that Aryan DNA. Okay, so that's why everything, if we talk about here, is actually all interconnected. And like, moral of the story, we're all one big family. But it's fun to explore this kind of history, right? And now that I'm thinking, is it Mongolian? No, I don't think it's Mongolian. It's the Mongols, okay, like MONGUL, okay, because I'm not quite sure at the moment, like if it's Mongol, MONGOL. I'm not sure if, I think so. I think it is the same, because sometimes people like spell it interchangeably, but not interchangeably, like differently. People spell it differently. I think, personally, I think it's because over the years, like certain tribes they're actually from the same lineage, but then it got branched off. It is actually something very common. Even in recent days, even modern days, imagine like you have a lot of brothers. Okay, you have a lot of brothers. They all have a different piece of land, say, for them to take care. Okay, their little piece of land, their little, I wouldn't say kingdom, like their little, yeah, I say little kingdom. Okay, then if they are not in agreement with, some of them might not be in agreement with other ones, right? So what they would do is they would branch off in their own ways. And that is usually how actually what happened in the past as well. Like they just branch off, okay? When some of them could, move back to the west, and that's what the Mongols did, right? Yeah. Okay, and so it depends on how they moved, and in this case would be conquering other countries, right, or tribes over the years, and that would turn into different mixing between the tribes, between the DNAs, and then that would manifest in a new kind of DNAs and people appearing differently. So that's kind of, if we see from a biological perspective, or like something like an experiment in a laboratory, is kind of the same, right? It's kind of a different, what do you call, specimen, kind of like you put it into different dish, and testing out how they would create themselves with different kinds of possibilities, like how it would like spread out, and in this case it would be humans, how we say mate interracially, and that actually is the mixing of the DNAs, right? Now, wow. Now I should go back to Athena, okay, and Saraswati. So now let's talk about the story between Brahma and Saraswati. So that actually is, again, just recap, Brahma is like conscious mind, okay, Zeus, same equivalent to Zeus, and also, the creator, okay, that's what it means. Saraswati is Brahma's daughter. Now the story between Brahma and Saraswati, I'm just gonna keep it short. What it talks about is that, Saraswati is born out of Brahma's forehead, right? Just the same as for Athena and Zeus. It's the same thing, like what they talked about in the stories. What happened between Brahma and Saraswati is that Brahma loves Saraswati so much, and he sees her as the most beautiful creation that he has ever created. Okay, and he kind of like, what it says is like, he lusts over her so much so that he makes her his wife. And people will be like, oh, that's oh my goodness gracious, what is this? And like, right, if we put it into like a human context to see this story, to look at this story, it's quite messed up. It sounds quite messed up, right? But in fact, it's not. We might not be talking about this though, right? So, but in fact, if we see what is the current structure of Hinduism right now, is that Saraswati is in fact the consort, okay, which is the wife, okay, say the wife of Brahma. It is, okay, it is. However, in Greek mythology, it's different. Zeus has his wife as Hera, right? Hera is Zeus' wife. Athena is simply Zeus' favorite child. However, what I need to mention here is that Athena and Saraswati, they do not have, they're not born out of any mothers. Like they don't have a mother. They actually just born out of their father's forehead. Okay, so what is symbolized here? What is symbolizing here is about intellectual, because these two goddesses, Athena in Greek mythology and Saraswati in Hinduism, they represent wisdom, intelligence, and intellectual, okay, materials. So let me expand on it. There's certain differences between them though. However, they both represent wisdom. Like this is the strongest thing that, like the strongest quality that they both embody, which is wisdom, okay, and knowledge. It's like they are the queen. They're the queen. Like they're the best in this. Let's put them, put them in two parts and see what they are. Who is who? Okay. Now for Athena is the goddess that is very, very specialized in strategy, wisdom, knowledge, and also peace. Yes. So she is the one that it also talks about that she also does pottery, and also weaving things. Okay, weaving. When they back in the old days how they weave the fabrics and stuff, textiles. Okay, she also has this kind of abilities, so to speak, power. Okay, and whereas for Saraswati, there's a slight difference here. Saraswati is also wisdom, representing wisdom, knowledge, learning, speech, and also music. Okay, music and art. She actually embodies art as well. But however, you see, in Athena, she also has a more like an artistic aspect of her, which is weaving and pottery. But when it comes to music and art, that would be Apollo, right? That would be Apollo, the sun god, more or less. However, that's why in Greek mythology, Apollo and Athena are very closely related. They sometimes would be seen as, the counterpart for each other. However, what's very interesting is that these two ladies, Saraswati and Athena, they actually are not married to anyone. Like, because for usually like, Hera has a counterpart, that would be Zeus, right? Even if it's for Persephone, she has a counterpart. He's Hades. Hades is the unconscious guy. No, the unconscious mind. Okay, Hades is unconscious mind, and also Shiva. Okay, that's I'm saying the equivalent, kind of equivalent. Okay, so they all kind of have their own counterparts. Okay, but for Saraswati and Athena, they don't. They do not. Then now, exactly. Then why? Why would that be? Because now I'm speaking on my own interpretation. Okay, it's just my own interpretation on this. Athena and Saraswati, they are very independent in a sense. Okay, and it's interesting that both their fathers, Zeus and Brahma, would be lusting over their daughters. Okay, just so to speak. Just keep going. Okay, we no, don't add in the human concepts of it. Okay, it's just like how stories usually are like, because it actually tells us something very, very important. Why lusting over? Why would they make their daughters their own wives, or say their favorite person? And in fact, if you have ever heard about any kind of stories between Hera and Zeus' wife, okay, Hera is always super jealous of everything, or every woman, every lady, those nymphs, nymphs that Zeus look at. Like, even if Zeus just look at one lady or another goddess, Hera would be very, very jealous and usually throw a tantrum. And that's why Zeus is very, very afraid of her when Hera, throws a tantrum. Okay, but however, when it comes to Athena, Hera is not very jealous of her. Why? You never really hear about Hera is jealous of Athena, or that Hera would actually try to harm Athena. There's not really a story about that. It's quite interesting, isn't it? I'm actually going to speak on this first, and then I'll go back to what does Athena and Saraswati actually represent, okay? Now, let's talk about the relationship between Athena and Hera. Why is it that Hera does not harm Athena in a sense, and also is not jealous of Athena? Mind you that Hera is not the mother of Athena, okay? Even though Hera is Zeus' wife, but no, Hera is not the mother of Athena, okay? Hera and Zeus, they have a child, and that's Ares, Ares, okay? That's the god of war. And that also brings into something else, which is Ares is the god of war, whereas Athena is also starts with A, okay? Athena is also very good at strategy. She's a strategist. However, even when she's in wars, right? She's the patron goddess of Athens, the city of ancient Greece. It's because she is kind of like the goddess of war as well. But she embodies peacemaking, okay? So there's a difference between Ares and Athena, okay? Now, however, when it comes to Athena and Hera, here's what I wrote. I'm just going to read it off, okay? Athena is the only child out of all Zeus' children that Hera does not hate, because Hera hates almost everybody else when it's a woman, okay? Because Athena is the exalted form of femininity. Hera feels intimidated due to Athena's balance, feeling threatened due to Hera's own insecurity. That brings in jealousy, right? When she encounters any kind of other women. But at the same time, Hera also admires Athena. Why? Because Athena is the medicine, air quote, okay? Athena is the medicine to Hera's weaknesses. And that major weakness is self-assurance, self-confidence, and independence. So what it means, what we can learn from here is that's how I see. Hera is when Hera is not in the upright, it's like there's always a shadow attributes and light attributes when it comes to each archetype. Because remember what I said in part 1, that each god and goddess, all of them are not actually talking about a person. They're talking about personalities or archetypes. So what we can learn from here is that Athena does not have a counterpart. Okay? She's born out of Zeus' forehead, meaning that she embodies both femininity and masculinity in balance, right? She does not need a man, so to speak, not because she hates men. In fact, she works very well with men because she's able to maintain her own intellectual abilities as well as a stable form of femininity, not causing her to have any kind of insecurity within. And in that sense, Hera needs to learn about that. Why? Because Hera is always, when she's in the shadow side of Hera would be jealousy. And Hera is actually the archetype, or say the personality of women, of married women. You see, when now we're bringing to the physical reality, physical world application. We usually see a lot of women, if they don't feel secured enough after marriage, okay, like after they married a man, they would seek for validation from their husbands a lot, right? They would, their emotional stability really is highly associated with how their husbands treat them, what their husbands say to them, how their husbands react to other women, and at the same time, these women would be very concerned with their own appearance because they see that as one of the major ways to attract their husbands. Okay, because that's how they attracted their husbands in the first place somehow. Okay, so this is something very deep in the psyche, and that's what Hera is representing, the married women. These are the women, if they seek from their husbands as in for validations, they would then be in the shadow side of the Hera archetype. That would be jealousy and emotional insecurity or instability. Okay, because they actually project their own security out, or say insecurity out, to somebody else, to the external. So when they don't receive what they expect, i.e. would be how their husbands react to them or compliment them, they would feel very insecure. And that is exactly how Hera treats Zeus. That's why she would usually throw a lot of tantrums and just cause harm to many other women who are not actually trying to steal her husband. So what can we see from here? Is that if we compare Athena and Hera, Hera's weakness is literally going within, to be self-confident, to be self-assured, to know oneself, like know thyself, so to speak. And that's exactly what Athena embodies. So that's why Athena can be seen as the exalted form of femininity, where she is she stands her own ground, right? She embodies the qualities of both masculinity and femininity in balance. So now we're tracing back. Now we're going back to Athena, Saraswati, Brahma, and Zeus. The relationship between the fathers and the two daughters, okay, Athena and Saraswati. So in this sense, if we now we have explored Hera and Athena, right? What do Athena and Saraswati actually represent as an archetype? Now this archetype actually represents the collective superconscious mind, okay, imbalanced energy. Let me repeat again. The archetype of Athena or Saraswati represents the collective superconscious mind in balanced energy. So if we put it in another way of saying it, okay, it basically means the balance between the divine masculine energy and the divine feminine energies within one person. So what I'm suggesting here is not that it only applies to female because it's Athena or Saraswati because they are ladies, right? No, they are just archetypes. It's not about the gender, so to speak. What they are representing is actually the balance between masculinity and femininity, and that is non-gendered. Then it's not about it only applies to women, like female. No, it applies to males as well. Because we all, for all genders, or any kind of non-gendered, okay, whatever it is, it's not about the vessel, it's not about the body, okay? It's not about that. What they are telling us is that it's the divine masculine energy and the divine feminine energy in balance with each other, okay? So if we see it from another perspective again, that could be the balance between intellect, the mind, and the heart, peace. So that's what some people would say nowadays is called the head-heart balance, okay? Head-heart balance. So it's the mind, the intellect, and the heart, love, peace. And that is what Athena symbolizes here. Because even though she is a great warrior, she's a great strategist, she works well with a lot of men, but she cares the people. She cares about the people, and that is one of the reasons why in ancient Greece they chose her to be the patron goddess for their capital, right, Athens. That actually reminds me of, you know, even this archetype. It's not only applying to a person, as in non-gendered wise, okay, like men or women. It can also be applied to anything in our lives. Be it you start up a business, okay, or even if you are like a designer, say you do graphic design, even if it comes to any kind of organization, you know, structure-wise, this is very important. Like if any kind of structure or system or, you know, design, even to that extent, is able to reach such a balance between structure and creativity, intellect and peace or love, divine masculine and divine feminine energies, they would be very much in balance. Okay, that they would thrive in a very balanced way. Even when it comes to countries, is the same. So the archetype in itself does not only apply to humans. I mean, of course, yes. I mean, we build things, right? We do. But what I'm trying to say is that it can also be applied to how we create systems. Okay, now let me give you an example. Like, if it is something about organization, behavior, you know, like human resources, like how do you manage people in a way, like, so to speak, you know, because it's like human resources, say it's really important to have the structure wise, but also embody the flexibility in order for the employees to grow, right? You can't have something just so rigid and not having any kind of, you know, human connections within. If over time the structure is too much, too strong, this in itself would become very cold. Okay, that would become, now I remember sometime there was in one of the live video, we talked about, somebody asked something about Singapore. Okay, so say Singapore, I think I was saying about something about Singapore and Malaysia. Singapore is quite a balanced country in a way. Okay, like they have been doing quite a good job when it comes to balancing the energies. They have a very good structure. They are very disciplined, and the residents are very conscious of their own roles, and they are very cooperative. So what does it mean? This is discipline. This is structure. This is divine masculine, and they have a very well thought out. Even when it comes to transportation, or even when it comes to any kind of legislative system, these are all structures. The divine masculine, orders. Okay, orders. When it comes to divine feminine, this is more about creativity and human connections, about creations. Okay, how people can move within the structure and not being suffocated by it. So this is what we can see, and what I also mentioned about Malaysia, when how I feel about it when comparing Malaysia with Singapore, is that Malaysia feels more chill and relaxed. Okay, whereas for Singapore it feels more cold. But I'm not talking about the temperature or like the climate, right? Because they are both in tropical areas, so they are both hot when it comes to temperature, weathers. But what I'm saying is the temperature or climate when it comes to human connection. Okay, Malaysia is much more like kind of welcoming, much more. It feels more human. Okay, it feels more human. But when it comes to Singapore, not that people are not nice. People are very, very nice. It's just it has kind of like a filter of coldness, like a filter, okay, of coldness to it. There's such a feeling. Okay, there's such a sense that, and see, when it comes to Malaysia, they are not. People are not as. I wouldn't say they're not cooperative. It's just that the system is not as strong when comparing to Singapore. So from here we can already see, kind of like if we talk about GDPs and stuff, Singapore is kind of like thriving, booming in a very comprehensive way. So that is how Athena is like. Like we're talking about the archetype, right? It is a balance between the intellect and creativity, the divine masculine and divine feminine. So we can see how a country in itself can grow in such a well-rounded way. And it really depends on how they balance these two energies. Is it going to be too rigid? Are we setting too many structures right now? Do we need to loosen it up a little bit, or do we need to adjust the direction a little bit and not kind of like stifle down any kind of new creativity? Do we need to give more rooms for them to grow, to assist the direction and not killing them off, right? So that is how we can learn from this. And now I also mentioned the word superconscious mind. Right, superconscious mind it would be related to Carl Jung, right? Jungian psychology. Carl Jung, he mentioned the collective unconscious, the collective unconscious, and now here I would land his words, the superconscious into here. So because Athena, how I perceive is that Athena and Saraswati, they actually represent the collective superconscious mind. Because when they are in balance, that is, the Trinity is already formed, right? When anything or anyone has reached a balance within oneself, okay, be it a system or is within an individual, this already forms a Trinity, and that would then naturally connect this system or this individual to the superconscious mind. It is a natural process that it would then be, we could even see it as, it would then be in sync, synchronization. It would then be in sync with nature, the cosmic flow. And so it is in union with the one, or the zero, let's say, is oneness. So that's how Athena comes into one. And Athena does not actually need, so to speak, a counterpart. Or Saraswati does not actually need a counterpart, so to speak. It's really because they are in oneness, they are in union with Source, the zero. So that is, if we can see it from this perspective, it's not that they hate men, no. It's simply talking about they are balanced. Okay? Before we end this part 2, I would like to talk a little bit about how Athena and Zeus is, and then that would be for part 3 for the rest. Okay, this is kind of like a preview. Okay, this is like a preview for part 3. Athena, remember what I said? Athena, born out of Zeus' forehead, is his favorite child. If we link this to Jungian psychology, what do you guys think? What can you link when it comes to why would she come out from Zeus' forehead? Now we know that it's intellect, okay? We know it's the mind, it's intellect. But why would she be his favorite child? Why? And why would she come out of his forehead? Or even come out of him, not having a mother? Why? What do you think? Huh? And why would she be his favorite child? Out of all of the children, why would Athena be Zeus' favorite child? Okay, I'm not gonna talk about the answer, like what we're gonna explore. I'm just gonna leave it here so everyone can kind of like explore on their own, and then we will talk about it again on part 3. Yeah, so that would be for part 3, and then we also have part 4. So I hope you enjoy this video as much as I do, and I'll see you in part 3. Thank you for your patience, thank you for your time, and thank you for your support and kindness. Okay, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.